Hey, this is Trish, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what an artist sometimes faces, which is, do you call a person who has reached out to you for a gig, or that you've reached out to them for a gig, and yet you haven't heard back from them after the initial contact? This is something that as an artist you will face many times in your career, if not every time, especially if you're a performing artist such as myself. Now, if you go to a regular audition, you just go to the audition, you do the audition, and you may or may not ever hear from them, but after the audition you just move on with your life and you just go forward. Whether you hear from them or not is completely irrelevant, and you have no control over it. That's just the way auditions are. Typically you do not contact people that you have auditioned for. You just don't do it. Now, in this case, of what I'm facing is that I reached out for a particular gig this weekend because, and you may hear this in the background, we're having an event called Cruising the Coast. So people who love old cars from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 70s, they're here. And so there are a lot of events going on, and I already have one gig for Saturday, but I was trying to get a second gig for Saturday because, you know, I'm a single mom, I need the gigs, right? And so a friend of mine invited me to her event, at her business, to just to sit and, you know, hang out and watch the cars as they go by, because they do this parade thing. Well, so what I did is I said, hey, how about some music? You want my band to come play? And she was really interested, and we talked numbers, and she said, yeah, I think we can do that. Well, this was last week, and I hadn't heard back from her. She said she needed to talk to her co-partner with the business, just to double check that, you know, the amount was okay. And I hadn't heard back from her. So Saturday, I had not heard back from her. And I said, so I posted on her Facebook wall, hey, just wanted to let you know I private messaged you, because sometimes, you know how Facebook is. Sometimes you get notifications, sometimes you don't. So I just want to let her know, hey, I messaged you, just let me know about Saturday. And she said, will do. And I said, looking forward to it. And I haven't heard from her still, and it's Wednesday. Now, she's very busy. And, you know, we post back and forth on Facebook and whatever about different things. So I don't get the feeling that she's avoiding me. It's just that, you know, she's got life and business and her own thing going. And for her, you know, this was something that I presented. So then what do I do? Well, again, I've already contacted her this Saturday. Today is Wednesday. So now what I'm looking at is, do I contact her again? Because today is Wednesday. The event is Saturday. And so if I don't hear from her by tomorrow, which it gives me 48 hours notice for my band, who's already on alert, hey, we may have a gig, we may not. You know, it just gets really tenuous. Each and every time you have one of these situations, you just have to feel it out. One of the steadfast rules, though, is that when you do this, is that you always contact the person the way the initial contact was set up, unless somebody gives you permission to contact them in a different way. For instance, if you started out on Facebook, you don't just automatically call that person. If it starts out as email, you don't just start talking to that person on social media. You stay in that format unless somebody gives you permission. If they say, hey, just give me a call, just call my office, then you would call their office and you would do that, and you would, you know, go further with that. But this is something artists face, is how often, how many times should I contact a person when I'm trying to nail down a gig? And this is something that you have to feel out each and every time. And if I don't hear from her tonight, I'm going to message her one more time in the morning, yes or no. Of course, I'll be very polite. She may, you know, she's just very busy. But this is what you have to put up with as an artist. You don't want to seem pushy, because then you won't get the gig at all. And yet, if you just let it go, you could miss out on entirely. So anyway, so I just wanted to give that little tip. First of all, you want to stay with the format in which you first talk to the person. And secondly, you want to just gauge whether you're too pushy. If you contact them 3 times in a week, that's just being too pushy. Saturday, today's Wednesday, I haven't heard. Tomorrow would be 48 hours before the gig. I need to contact her by tomorrow, just to see one way or the other. But this is something you'll face as an artist. So I'm going to get back out, and I'm going to see some of the cars. Some of them are really beautiful, and they're all loud. but I'm looking forward to the one gig I definitely have for Saturday, and fingers crossed I'll have this second one. So if you have any situations that you face as a struggling artist, let me know, and we'll talk about it here on my YouTube. All right, I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.